Hey everybody, Joe Cortez and James Burns of FrontRowPreps.com, powered by Chicken Ranch Casino and Golden Bear Physical Therapy. Time once again for our weekly predictions, brought to you by Golden Bear Physical Therapy. Burnsy, our game of the week this week is number 1 Escalon, number 1 small school, Escalon, versus the number 2 small school, Ilmar. We'll get back to that. Let's start at the bottom here. Los Banas versus Davis. Davis, a real surprise this year.
They are. They're 4-0, Jody, and they've just been rolling teams to this point. I mean, they've beaten Ripon Christian, who we think pretty highly of in our small school poll. Tim Garcia has a quarterback there named Elijah Diaz. He's accounted for 5 touchdowns in each of the last 2 weeks. He rushed for 246 last week. Davis, and we haven't said this much, is the heavyweight, is the favorite in this matchup. In this matchup with Los Banos, which is a
WAC matchup,
which is a perennial title contender in the WAC. We both like Davis in this matchup.
Davis enters our our large school rankings this week at number 10. You can check those out at FrontRowPreps.com. Hey, here's another one we don't often talk about. Johansen.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've ever made this board. They've been struggling for years now. Yeah. And they've got it turned around. Scott Sikorsky, head coach, doing a great job.
A fantastic job, just sticking with that program, believing in it, growing it from the ground up. I mean, literally growing it from the ground up. I mean, you and I both have written stories about how this program was dangerously low on numbers. We've talked about just his energy that he brings to the weight room. This move to the WAC has served Davis well, but it's probably served Johansen even better. The Vikings are rolling. Last week they beat Pacheco, another WAC defending champion, and they're gonna get a shot at Mountain House now. And Mountain House is coming off a great season of their own, and we like just the way that they're playing. I mean, the Vikings have numbers, right? They're as healthy as they've ever been in terms of numbers, and they've got confidence coming into this matchup. I think the Pacheco one, I think it rolls over. I think it snowballs in, and it's going to come crashing down on Mountain House.
And when have we ever said this? We're both picking Johansen this week.
Yeah.
Just like we're both picking Davis. I think we failed to mention that.
It's been years.
Sierra at Central Catholic. Central Catholic finally gets off the schneid, beat your alma mater 27-26 for its first win. They are number 4 in our large school poll, taking on an unbeaten Sierra team.
Yeah, Sierra's climbing. They're 5-0. They're really playing well under Coach Chris Johnson. They've got some good athletes. That running back, Kimani Stanley, he's running wild through the first 5 weeks of the season. And Sierra has put themselves in position. They've done everything they can, but I really think in this matchup, Central Catholic has the upper hand because of the schedule they faced and because they're getting healthy at the right time. They beat Manteca, which is a team that we thought pretty highly of last week. Had them up at number 3 in the large school ranking. And Central Catholic looks like a team that is ready to defend in the VOL. I mean, they're getting healthy. Mania Lebo was a stud last week. And I think this is just this one is going to favor Central Catholic, especially at home. And again, they finally have the numbers. Roger said this is the first time all season they've been over 30 players.
I agree. They're getting healthy, and that tough schedule is going to pay dividends. Yeah. Another great little matchup here, Denair versus Ripon Christian.
Yep. 2
of our ranked small school teams. Denair, of course, the defending D7 state champion.
Yep.
They're still playing like they want to defend that title, and Ripon Christian playing like they want to be a state champion.
Yeah, and not to take anything away from Ripon Christian, a D6 finalist.
Right.
That's a heck of an honor. I mean, they got a chance to play a state champion last year in the section final.
They ran into the hottest team around last year.
They ran into this buzzsaw. Ripon Christian's hosting Denair. They're the defending Southern League champions. They're coming off a 55-0 drubbing of Waterford. Sean McGovern had another big night for him. He's one of the more remarkable athletes that we have. He's versatile. He can affect the game in all 3 phases. Denair stumbles into this game a little bit. They had a hard time putting away LeGrand. They scored 20 points in the second quarter, but then were outscored in the second half. Coach Anthony Armas said penalties and mistakes kind of cost them. They won't be able to afford those same mistakes at Ripon Christian.
To be clean, who do you like in this one?
I like RC in this one. Okay. I think RC. I think they've got the size to dominate in the Southern League, and then again McGovern and some of the athletes that they have that can put them in space. I think that they're going to be a tough team to stop offensively, and we know that defense always does a great job.
I agree. I kind of hate to say it because I love Denair. It's the little program that could. They came back from their own troubles, finishing games with 12 players a couple of seasons ago.
Well, here's the deal. Even if Denair stumbles and loses RC, they've got the playbook. They lost last year's matchup and rolled all the way to a section title and a state championship. So their season isn't pinned on this.
Right.
But this is certainly the game that gives one of these teams the inside track to the Southern League title.
Absolutely. And now, our game of the week. Number 1, Escalon heads to McSweeney Field to take on the defending state Division 6 champion, Hillmar Yellow Jackets, 1 versus 2.
Yeah. Can Hillmar gear up for another heavyweight battle against a TVL Blue Blood?
They had Ripon last week.
They had Ripon last week, and they dispatched Ripon 38-27. Ripon was a little undermanned, suffered a couple key injuries early in that game that changed the complexion of it. I think these two go at it as they always will for 4 quarters. I like Escalon in this one. I like Escalon because of what we saw against Downey and the athletes that Downey had, the size that Downey has. Escalon was just very thorough in its approach to that game, and they executed from whistle to horn. And so that doesn't mean that Hillmar isn't going to have some success against Escalon. I just think in this battle of heavyweights, they're going to throw the last punch.
And that performance against Downey is kind of ingrained in my gray matter a little bit too. We saw them; they were so impressive against a large school team, a highly ranked large school team. Hillmar has to get up again. Certainly, they can do it. We've seen them do it before. We watched them do it last season, all the way through the playoffs. But I just think Escalon is the cream of the crop right now.
And let's not kid ourselves. Hillmar is loving this video right now. This is what they want. They want Escalon to be the favorite. They want to be the underdog coming into this matchup. So they're not going to look at us cross.
What did Coach Frank Marcus ask me to do after in our post-game interview? Yeah, he said, every time I pick against Hillmar, Hillmar somehow rises up and shoves it right back in his face here.
Yeah, I think for that very reason, this could be the game of the year. Regardless of what we see in the playoffs and the postseason, I think that this has a chance to be the game of the year because this team always gets up for big games. Always gets up for big games.
Well, last year, they won that big matchup at Lloyd Engle Field in Escalon on a field goal in overtime. Backup kicker.
We watched it.
It was a fantastic game. Probably the game of the year as far as just drama and competition.
It was. Yeah. And so that's why I think this one could come down to the final seconds once again. But if you're asking me to pick a winner, I'm going to go with Escalon because of what we saw them do against Downey. I mean, that was just such a complete performance. That was as complete as we've seen all season.
It was domination as well. Yeah. So there you go. We both like Escalon, Ripon Christian, Central Catholic, Johansen, and Davis. So that's a look at our predictions for these 5 key games. Be sure to visit frontrowpreps.com to view all of our picks. For James Burns, I'm Joe Cortez. Thanks for stopping by.